I'm sorry, debt. We ain't friends. We not friends. I don't have debt friends. I paid off $138,000 in student loan debt in 3.5 years while building joy and having a bundle of joy. Hello again and welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Brittany Halford, and here I give you all the money tips to help you build more joy and more wealth in your life. And today we're going to talk about debt. Yes, I'm sorry guys. We gotta talk about it. We're gonna talk about debt today and how we would actually pay off debt while building joy and having more wealth in 2021. Now, the first step in paying off debt in 2021 is to take inventory of your debt, because not all debt is created equally. In my opinion, I would like to avoid high interest credit card debts and payday loans at all costs. But for me, having a little bit of student loan debt or hopefully a mortgage in my future would be okay if I were you in 2021. To have a clear understanding of your debt, you have to first write down a bit of information, and that includes your creditor, that debt amount, the interest rates, the minimum payments, the due dates for all of your payments, and how you feel about the debt. So again, like I said, for me, mortgage would probably be a smiley face for debt versus a credit card would be a frown, angry. I don't know if there's a face to describe the credit card debt. So you want to have a clear understanding of all of your numbers when it comes to taking inventory of your debt. And step number 2 is to breathe and believe. When it comes to paying off debt, especially after you take inventory of your debt, it could weigh on you. Like, to see when I had debt, to see the $138,000 of debt, man, that was just like heavy.
Whoa, this is heavy.
You feel like you're paralyzed, like you can never get from under this debt. But I want you to believe in yourself that you can. I did it, and if I did it, then you can do it too. And I'm going to continue to tell you how. So take a deep breath right now and believe that you can. Keep watching. The number 3 step is to build an emergency fund. And why do I say build an emergency fund? I actually talk about this a little bit more in my 8 money mistakes to avoid and how to fix them video. But the reason why you want to make sure that you have an emergency fund of at least $1,000 is because those emergencies can put you into more debt. And as you're paying off debt, you do not want to accumulate more debt. Now, the 4th step is to get on the phone. And who are you gonna call? You're not gonna call the Ghostbusters. Who you're gonna call is you're going to call your creditors. But the reason why I say this typically is not part of my debt payment strategy, but in 2021, the pandemic is still ongoing, and many of us have had changes in our income and our financial situation. So you wanna call your creditors to discuss a few things. And the first thing is to ask them if there is anything that they can do for you. Explain your situation, negotiate for a lower interest rate. If they're unwilling to provide you with a lower interest rate, then you can also ask them to change the date of your minimum payment. Some of us get paid monthly, but some of us get paid bi-weekly, or if you have various sources of income, unsteady income, then your money may come and go. If you're realizing that you're often making payments on the same credit card because of when the payment is due, you can ask them to change that due date to after your payday in order to make that payment on time. Remember, while we're paying off debt, we want to make sure that we don't miss any payments, because those missed and late payments can cause us to have worsening credit scores. And we want to keep our credit tip-top shape so that we can have more joy in our future. Next, I want you to memorize the money equation. And you've heard me talk about this money equation a lot. So the money equation for many people is your income minus your expenses equals your opportunity. And we're going to say that in this case, opportunity is defined as paying off debt. In thinking about paying off debt, you must modify your equation in two ways: by having more income or by lowering your expenses. That's going to lead you to more opportunities for debt payoff. That takes us to our next step, to look at your sources of income. Now, I know that the pandemic has changed our income and financial situation for many of us. And if that has occurred in your case, you really want to be diligent about writing down every source of income. I want you to write down how much you actually bring home. So that is post-tax. Many people fall into the trap of budgeting on their pre-tax dollars. And after Uncle Sam takes his cut, then you have less money. And so if you budget on a higher amount of money and you expect that you have that amount of money, then that's going to lead you to more debt and liabilities down the line. Please make sure that you're budgeting on your post-tax dollars, the money that you actually bring home. Now, after you look at your income, you realize that there are opportunities to increase your income. I want you to take advantage of those. And here are a few examples. There are freelance sites like Upwork and Fiverr that you can create a profile for a minimal amount of money and allows you to work on your time based upon your skill set. We all are good at something, and you might be better at drawing than I am, or you may be better at organization than I am. Really focus in on what your skill sets are and try to market those and sell those to others in need. Also, you can sell unused items by selling them on Facebook Marketplace or apps like OfferUp. I've done this even as an attending, and I could say it always feels good to have an extra $40 in my pocket. Now, I understand that this is not a consistent source of income, but every little bit counts when you're paying off debt. In April, my family and I started a satin line hair accessories brand, Bramelin and Rose, and that has afforded us more opportunities for my family who were displaced from their job to earn more income. Additionally, I have my Joy Budgeting ebook that I sell on Payoff that has also brought in more income. So there are ways that you can really leverage your skill sets to provide more income, even if it is small and inconsistent sources of income. More money in the bank is more money in the bank, and that means more money to pay off debt. The next step is to evaluate your spending. Now let's think back to that money equation. It's the income minus your expenses equal your opportunities. So we've already discussed ways to increase your income. Now we have to decrease those expenses in order to increase our opportunities, your ability to pay off debt. When you look at your expenses, look at the past 3 months. In fact, I want you to reference How to Fix Your Budget in 2021, my video, to discuss ways at which you actually write down your expenses and plan them in your budget so that you can be successful in budgeting. One of the ways that I was able to reduce my expenses without sacrificing joy was to focus on joy and to budget those first. So that way, as you're paying off debt, you can make sacrifices everywhere else. For example, it doesn't bother me to eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
It's peanut butter jelly time!
In fact, I actually enjoy peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Do you? If so, let me know in the comments. But for some people, they wouldn't dare make it a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch or for breakfast. I was able to decrease my food expenses by focusing on what brings me joy. Ice cream, making sure that I am able to travel and to visit family and, make myself pretty. I would encourage you to also focus on joy when you're budgeting. It's easier to make sacrifices in other areas that are often regretful spends. And if you want my joy budgeting framework, then there's a discount code in the description below in which you can get it for $5. So I want to make it affordable so you can be sustainable and have the tools that you need to pay off debt. The next step is to get rid of your temptations and to use cash. Now that you know where your money is going, you know where you overspend. And many of us overspend by using credit. If you're having trouble paying off your debt, you got to cut up those credit cards. I would recommend that you cut up the credit cards with the highest interest rates first. And you don't want to close the accounts because that can lower your credit score. So you want to keep the accounts open if they do not have fees, but cut up the credit card. You can also call your credit card company and say that you lost your credit card and you want them to put a hold on it, but you don't want them to reissue a new credit card at this time. Now I want you to put the credit card with a low interest rate and a block of ice. You can give it to your spouse or a trusted friend. It's somewhere. You just want to make sure that it's accessible but also difficult to use. Go to websites like Amazon where your credit card might be stored and delete your credit card number from that website. Our goal is to make it easier for us to do the right thing, and sometimes you have to put barriers in place in order to do so. And lastly, you want to use cash for your variable expenses like your shopping, groceries. That way you don't overspend. As you can see that amount of money is decreasing, that is going to trigger something in you to slow down on your spending because you know you have X amount of days left to eat and to provide for. The next step is to automate your minimum payment. At this point, you know where your money is going and you also know how much those minimum payments are and when they're due. So go on to all of your credit card companies. If you haven't created an account, go and create an account so you can set them up for automatic minimum payment. Now, if your budget does not allow for the minimum payments to be automatic, then I want you to go back to your budget and revisit some expenses that you can minimize in order to meet that minimum payment. And if you looked at the budget and you said, Brittany, I can't lower anything else, then I want you to think about how you might be able to increase your income by selling something or doing odd jobs to bring in more money so that you can meet that minimum payment every month without touching the $1,000 that you have saved in your emergency fund. And the reason to do this is because we do not want any late payments during this time. Now we move on to like the actual debt payment strategy. And there are two frames of thoughts as far as debt payment strategies. One is the avalanche method and the other is the snowball method. And there's really no right or wrong method. The avalanche method allows you to save more money over time because you focus on paying off the highest interest rate first, where the snowball method may allow you to be more sustainable over time because you start to build up that motivation like, yeah, I paid that debt off, I could pay you off too. You gotta start speaking to your debts like, I'm sorry, debt, we ain't friends. We're not friends. I don't have debt friends. But with the avalanche method, basically you order your debts from the highest interest rate to the lowest interest rate. And you want to make sure that you set all of those debts on automatic payment, but we've already done that step, so you don't have to go back and do that step. Then any additional income that you have, because you've determined that by knowing where your money goes and setting up a budgeting strategy, any additional income, you apply it to the highest interest rate debt first. Now, if you want to implement the snowball method, then you want to order your debts from the smallest amount of debt to the largest amount of debt and set them all on an automatic minimum payment, and any additional money that you have, you pay off the smallest debt first, then you go to the next largest and so forth. And this is just a credit card and also a student loan debt tip that I didn't learn until maybe my second year as an attending. Your interest is accrued on a daily basis. So if you make payments twice a month, then you're going to be making more payments over time eventually. Also, you will accumulate less interest because you're making a payment at the 15-day mark instead of waiting the entire 30 days to make payments. So even if you have a little extra money, paying your credit cards and student loans twice a month will actually reduce your interest over time. That's a key debt tip that I'm sure many of you guys don't know. So go ahead and hit that like button right now because that was a good one. I gotta pat myself on the back. Now we are going to document and celebrate. And it is important that you do both of these steps, that you document and that you also celebrate, because paying off debt can sometimes feel like a huge burden. Documenting your journey will allow you to look back and remember all that you have accomplished, which will motivate you over time. And then you want to celebrate. Now, I'm not saying splurge, right? Celebrations take many forms, but you want to make sure that you celebrate each and every milestone that you achieve. Buy some sparkling wine, or you treat yourself to coffee with a girlfriend. Whatever it is, you want to make sure that you have small celebrations to keep you motivated during this time. Now, if you need a checklist of all of the steps that I have outlined in this video, then you definitely want to check the description for this free Pay Off Debt in 2021 checklist. We want to make sure that we know what we're doing, we have a plan, and that we do not miss any steps. And so this checklist is going to make sure that your payoff strategy is on point for the entire year and help you reach your goals. Now, paying off debt does not happen overnight, but I truly believe that you can do it. If you want to learn more about money mistakes that you should avoid while you're paying off debt, and I want you to watch that video right after this one. And if you want to learn how to fix your budget in 2021 so you can actually reach those financial goals, then you can watch that one next. My goal is to spread financial education and to help you build more joy and more wealth in your life. So share this video to someone who's in need and make sure you give it a thumbs up. And I look forward to celebrating you as you pay off your debt. I'll see you next time.